Craving some Mexican? Don't think twice. Come visit us at Monte Alban 3 at 1310 Highway 77, Lafayette, Alabama for the best Mexican food around. Cheese dip, quesadillas, tacos, sheriff specials, and the best salsa in Chambers County. Planning a party or something special? Call Roxana at 334-864-0502 to reserve the party room.
Farmers and Merchants Bank is your hometown bank in Lafayette. Established in 1934, Farmers and Merchants Bank continues to operate with the same integrity it did when the bank first opened its doors. Farmers and Merchants Bank, a proud supporter of Chambers County football. That's Farmers and Merchants Bank, your local community bank, serving Chambers County and the Greater Valley area with all its banking needs. FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Star Insurance Group of Opelika, Auburn, Montgomery, and Greenville. With all of life's demands, buying insurance is probably low on your list. Luckily, there's someone who's looking out for you and putting your needs first. A trusted friend is right around the corner. The team at Star Insurance can provide you with great protection and a personal touch. Whether it's business, farm, home, or auto, their team can help out. They aren't just agents, they're members of the community.
The Chambers Academy Booster Club invites you to purchase tickets for our upcoming gun drawing. We will select one winner every day in November, plus a bonus drawing. Tickets are $25 each or $5 for $100. You can pick up tickets from Newman's Farm Supply, the CA office, or any foundation members. Good luck! Daphne Nelson Photographs, for all her hard work capturing our memories from senior portraits, sporting events, pageants, prom, and family portraits. Reach out to Daphne at TaphneNelson.com.
Craving some Mexican? Don't think twice. Come visit us at Monte Alban 3 at 1310 Highway 77, Lafayette, Alabama for the best Mexican food around. Cheese dip, quesadillas, tacos, sheriff specials, and the best salsa in Chambers County. Planning a party or something special? Call Roxana at 334-864-0502 to reserve the party room.
Farmers and Merchants Bank is your hometown bank in Lafayette. Established in 1934, Farmers and Merchants Bank continues to operate with the same integrity it did when the bank first opened its doors. Farmers and Merchants Bank, a proud supporter of Chambers County football. That's Farmers and Merchants Bank, your local community bank, serving Chambers County and the Greater Valley area with all its banking needs. FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
The Chambers Academy Booster Club invites you to purchase tickets for our upcoming gun drawing. We will select one winner every day in November, plus a bonus drawing. Tickets are $25 each or 5 for $100. You can pick up tickets from Newman's Farm Supply, the CA office, or any foundation members. Good luck. Chambers Academy Sports Live would like to thank Taffy Nelson Photographs for all her hard work capturing our memories from senior portraits, sporting events, pageants, prom, and family portraits. Reach out to Taffy at taffynelson.com. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Chambers Academy Sports Live Coaches Show with Coach Jason Allen. We are live at Monte Alban 3 here on the north side of Lafayette, and we really want to thank them for hosting us. Our show is sponsored by Farmers and Merchants Bank. Mr. Howard is behind the camera. And since I'm remiss quite often, let me also thank Ashley Modeling for running our camera so well this year. We made sure we got him a little camera time last week in Abbeville. And as usual, I'm here with my partner, Chester Carter. Chet, we've got a few things to talk about tonight, Abbeville, and some potential playoff success, I hope, down the road.
That's right. You know, it was a great game down in Abbeville last Thursday. We moved the game up due to Halloween. That was a good little trip down there, and it was nice to see that program get a little fire underneath them and improve so much year over year. And we'll get into some of that action and details later here. But big thing is, tomorrow we open up the first round of the 3A AISA playoffs here at home at Torbert Allen Field, 7 o'clock. As we looked a little bit into the weather, it might be a issue, but hopefully we can get the game in before some rain hits. And should be a fun time tomorrow.
Well, I agree. And Dave and I were talking earlier on, we think, and the latest report is it should come in later. I certainly hope that's the case just for our crowd. And we want to encourage everyone. There are a few seats here available tonight, so you're welcome to come on out. But tomorrow night, you probably want to get there early. Come on out and support this team. Every home game from here on is win. You'll have another one and then go to the big game at the end of the year. But we expect and are certainly anticipating a big crowd tomorrow night for Chambers Academy versus Fort Dale. We've already played them once, but we will restart. And as Coach Jackson always says, playoffs are different speed, different atmosphere. Everything's different.
Oh, yeah, and it will be tomorrow because, the Eagles are they remember back to week 7. It was a 47-0 victory that Chambers took from them down there at home. So, they'll have a little chip on their shoulder wanting to come up here and make a big statement.
Well, when you and I were talking earlier about the matchup, and look, it's just very clear. It would be one of the biggest upsets in the AISA ever if they came up here and had a win against us. And look, they have nothing to lose other than trying to come up and do that. Now, I also believe that we're going to be ready to play because we seem to always be ready to play. But, yeah, the game in Fort Dale got out of hand early. I think we scored the first 6 times we touched the ball in that game, and it really just kind of got out of hand. We played a very complete ball game that night.
Oh, yeah. From what the coaches said and what we saw was one of the most complete games of the season. And just a reminder, though, tomorrow is the last Friday night football game on the schedule. So everybody make sure you pencil those games in further down the road as the Thursday night football games continue after tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last Friday night game of the season.
And that means we will be doing a coaches show on Tuesday of next week. So I'll send out some announcements on that, but make sure that you plan your schedule accordingly. We'll do a coaches show on Tuesday if we win tomorrow night, and then we'll decide the rest of that schedule as we get deeper into this playoff round.
Yeah, that's right. Come out here to Monty Alvin for the Coaches Show. Support this huge senior class. Make sure we're behind them, but definitely be down at Torbert Allen Field tomorrow at 7 o'clock. It's going to be a raucous time down there, and hopefully the weather holds off until we get the game in.
And a couple things I just want to do before we take our first break here. We certainly want to thank our two newest sponsors, and that's Integrated Contractor Service for the pregame show and Morgan Backhoe for the postgame interview show. We thank those guys for taking those two sponsorships kind of first third of the season when we launched them, and they are great supporters. We appreciate it. And the other thing, Chet, just want to make sure that everybody understands that we have great sponsors. We are so lucky to have such good sponsorships like tonight, Farmers and Merchants Bank, and then all during the season. So tip of the cap to you guys for that as well. The thing also I want to mention here is just give folks a brief review of what we're going to do tonight, as we always do. And let me get that to you real quick. Chet and I are going to sit down and talk about the Abbeville game in a little bit more detail. We're going to talk some stats. And then we'll do a little bit of preview of this week's playoff game. We're also going to restate the players of the game and the impact players, because last week against Abbeville was one of the more complete games we've ever seen, but a big play dominated event. We'll talk about a lot of that. And then we'll spend some time talking about Fort Dale, just in some greater detail. Coach Jackson is not going to be with us tonight, so we will, after that time, sit down and talk with Coach Nesmith, give him a little bit more opportunity to educate us on how the defense is supposed to work, and then we'll sit down with Coach Allen in our final segment.
Yeah, and we also want to remind folks that the 30 for 30 gun raffle is still going on. You can still get tickets down at Newman's. We're day 6 into it. Still haven't won one yet, but I still hope I got enough chances in there. But you can still buy tickets at Newman's Farm Supply or at the office at CA. So make sure you get your tickets in.
Well, I think our odds are getting better. Every time they take a name out, you and I, our odds go up, right?
Yeah, hey, I hope so. But, hey, we also again want to thank Monty Alvin, Taffney Nelson Photographs, and Farmers and Merchants again for sponsoring us. So, folks, we're going to take a quick break and come back with some information about Abbeville and then looking into Fort Dale.
The Chambers Academy Booster Club invites you to purchase tickets for our upcoming gun drawing. We will select one winner every day in November, plus a bonus drawing. Tickets are $25 each or $5 for $100. You can pick up tickets from Newman's Farm Supply, the CA office, or any foundation members. Good luck.
Craving some Mexican? Don't think twice. Come visit us at Monty Alvin 3 at 1310 Highway 77, Lafayette, Alabama, for the best Mexican food around. Cheese dip, quesadillas, tacos, sheriff specials, and the best salsa in Chambers County. Planning a party or something special? Call Roxana at 334-864-0502 to reserve the party room.
Welcome back to the Chambers Academy Sports Live Coaches Show with Coach Jason Allen. We're here for our formal segment 1. And Chet, I know you've got a lot of information here about some stats, but just generally, I think it was an interesting thing. You and I talked at great length before the game about it's breaking up our rhythm. It's a little bit off the normal schedule. And then those guys came out and played really aggressive and really hard in that first quarter. And it gave us that little pause and saying, okay, they are much improved. There is a reason these guys are 9-0.
Yeah, when we went down there, just the atmosphere there at the stadium was totally different from the past times we went down there. I mean, the excitement was there. The place was packed. Just the laughter and just the camaraderie of all the people there. It was a totally different atmosphere from the past couple times because they were struggling for quite a few years, and then we roll into town, and you're right, they were ready to play, and they had a great support from their fan base. Now, we, as the defense, tried to hold that wide open spread offense and a very, very good quarterback under control.
Well, and the other thing that I just want to mention, because I know we talked about that night, those guys were very good hosts. They were very hospitable to us. I enjoy that kind of thing when we go on the road, and we certainly try to repeat that to people who come up here with us, but it's always a really good night when people are willing to help you, make sure you're set up, and get you off to a good quick start. And the game was a little bit tight. It was very hard hitting and intense early on. I know you've got some numbers that we're going to go through here, and why don't you just go ahead and take us through some of these?
Well, last week, we saw a very competitive first half. Chambers was up at the half 22-14, but the second half, totally different story. And some of the numbers from last week on total offense, 256 yards. Was led by senior Peyton Yurda, 14 carries, 88 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 two-point conversions. Senior Eli Wharton, 9 carries, 54 yards, 1 touchdown. Senior Jack Nelms, 9 carries, 44 yards. Junior Hunter Andrews had 5 carries, 24 yards, 2 TDs. And then freshman Cohen Hand, 2 carries for 18 yards.
Well, let me just mention, if we look at Hunter's stats there, 5 carries for 24 yards, there were 3 of those yards. That was one of the best plays I've ever seen done.
Yeah.
The play at the goal line where Hunter carried 3 people into the end zone was just, go back and listen to our broadcast. It was a lot of shouting.
I went back home and watched it, and I was like, how did that really go down? But we're going to get a chance to ask him later. I haven't had the chance to talk to him since that.
And it was a night of huge plays. I mean, we had huge plays on defense and on offense, and I know you're going to get into all those things.
Yeah, on special teams, was amazing. Junior Bryce Modeling had a 54-yard kickoff return, and then junior Kobe Watley had an 82-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Just amazing how the special teams really kicked in here. And one thing we noticed was the field position. Chambers was working with a short field all night long, and it made it easier. And that may be the reason why the total offense is a little lower because they had a short field compared to other games.
Well, the thing that, if you remember at halftime, we were talking about how the game was intense and how it was a really spirited contest. Then you and I were saying, okay, the first 2 series, the first 2 offensive series, the first 2 defensive series are really a tone setter and a momentum builder for the back half. And Watley steps up and he ran like 1,000 yards, but it was an 82-yard touchdown, I think, return.
Yeah.
And Kobe just turned his jets on, got it outside, and he was gone. Then we stuffed those guys right away, got the ball back and scored. The only thing in that whole series of big momentum shifts that we talked about, we didn't convert the 2-pointer. And that was the least of our concerns at that point because we had really established, I think, a point of true dominance. And I think we did a great job on the offensive and defensive line all night. But in that second half, the game just flipped.
Yeah, and that defense stepped up big in the second half, as led by senior Kent Nelson, 6 tackles, 1 interception for a 94-yard pick 6. Senior Drew Shepard had an outstanding night, 6 tackles, 2 sacks. Senior Eli Wharton, 4 tackles. Senior Spencer Newman, 4 tackles, 1 batted pass, 1 sack. Senior Gabriel Bridges, 3 tackles, 1 batted pass. Junior Colton Fuller, 3 tackles. Senior Sam Smith, 3 tackles, 2 pass breakups. Junior Bryce Modeling, 3 tackles, 2 pass breakups, and junior A.J. Knowles, 3 tackles. And they shut out the Generals in the second half as, we were up by 8 there at the half, and they seemed a little desperate when they came out in the second half and making, some riskier plays out there, in my opinion, and the defense stepped up big and shut them down.
Well, and I think that kickoff return put them, in a much deeper hole right away. They didn't convert the next series, so now I think that fueled that desperation. But I'll say this. It is not often that we see an athlete across the field from us on the other side of the ball with moves like the quarterback had at Abbeville. He would stick a foot in the ground and cut hard left or right. And we've got very athletic people on the defense. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of chasing going on. And he had a very good and accurate arm. And his receivers did a good job pulling balls in.
Yeah, just got down to desperation there in the second half as they got deeper behind. And the defense, made some big plays there. And the defense settled down, in my opinion, and kind of made him try to work for things instead of chasing him, and kind of wore himself out a little bit running around because every snap he was running in the backfield,
And the other thing I think that contributed to that kind of disruption, in addition to us, the snaps were really inconsistent all night for Abbeville. We saw a bunch of balls on the ground. We saw a snapped punt go over, I think, the punter's head, who actually picked it up and made something out of it. Maybe it was a quarterback that went over his head. But anyway, the snaps were very inconsistent. And I think that puts so much pressure as you're anticipating, where is this going? It's in your mind.
Yeah, when your quarterback has to dig the ball off the ground every snap, it does wear him out. And then when he went out of the game went out with an injury, the backup quarterback, he could not handle those snaps on the ground. So he was working double time, the quarterback, with that snapping issues, which did play easily into the Rebel defense.
Well, there was an awful lot of great play in the middle, too, Chet. There was a lot of hitting going on. Those guys put out some punishment. But the thing that always impresses me about this group, if you go back and you think about big runs with Hunter, and you look at runs with Yurda, and you look at runs with Eli, they just don't stop at the first contact. It was very rare to see those guys go down at the line of scrimmage. And that has to start getting into your mind as a defensive corner or a safety coming up. You're going to hit the bull, and it's going to cost you. And that does wear you down, I think, as the game gets longer. Let me do this, too. Let's just go over the players of the game from last week. Since we didn't have a show, we'll just go through those. We announced them, I think, on Sunday. As you said, the offensive player of the game is Peyton Yurda. Super numbers, 14 carries, 88 yards, 2 touchdowns, and two two-pointers. On the defensive side, we had Drew Shepard play really well all night. Bryce Modeling came up with 2 really big pass breakups. And I think just continue to do that kind of quarterbacking in the secondary, running that defensive secondary really well. From an impact player of the game, that's when the big plays just popped into our minds. And, of course, our buddy Kent with that 94-yard pick six. I mean, Kent caught the ball and was just gone. I mean, he was just gone. And Kobe, I think it was so interesting. I was expecting us to get the kick, start between the 30 and the 40, and establish a drive. Well, we didn't even do that. We just celebrated and kicked off again. That was and kicked off from there. 82-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. And as we mentioned earlier, Hunter's play at the goal line, it's just football intelligence, and it's just heart. I mean, we said it in the broadcast. He just wanted more.
Yeah.
And he got it. So
he drew a couple guys in there, and I'm still thinking about it over. I don't know how it went down, but how he got the ball up in possession and got it in and drug those guys in.
Well, he kept going down the line. That movement just kept the officials from blowing that ball dead. And Chet, these guys, these young men, make our job of selecting key players more and more and more difficult, and we love that.
Yeah.
We don't really love having to pick anybody, to tell you the truth, but it is a great group of people, and this team is playing well across the roster.
And, we want to wish Abbeville the best of luck as they go into their playoffs in 2A, and I think they're playing Monroe this week.
Yeah.
So best of luck to them, and hopefully we might see them down the road in another matchup.
And let's see, I think Fort Dale tomorrow night, they had a 33-32 win, is that right?
Yeah.
To get into the playoffs. So, yeah, they're the 4th seed from the West. And, of course, we mentioned earlier that we played them middle of the year this year.
Yeah, I mean, and we were talking about how do you get a team up to come up here and play that. So we'll see how things work going into tomorrow. This will be the last time the schools meet. I said that earlier in the season, and I was wrong because we're meeting them in the playoffs, but they are going public after this year. So it should be a good time tomorrow night at Torbert Allen, 7 o'clock. Make sure everybody shows up and, bring some energy down there and bring these Rebels another victory closer to the three-peat. So, folks, again, we want to thank our sponsors, Farmers and Merchants, Taffney Nelson Photographs, and Monty Albin for sponsoring us. And folks, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with our defensive coordinator, Dylan. Craving some Mexican? Don't think twice. Come visit us at Monty Albin 3 at 1310 Highway 77, Lafayette, Alabama, for the best Mexican food around. Cheese dip, quesadillas, tacos, sheriff specials, and the best salsa in Chambers County. Planning a party or something special? Call Roxana at 334-864-0502 to reserve the party room.
Farmers and Merchants Bank is your hometown bank in Lafayette. Established in 1934, Farmers and Merchants Bank continues to operate with the same integrity it did when the bank first opened its doors. Farmers and Merchants Bank, a proud supporter of Chambers County football. That's Farmers and Merchants Bank, your local community bank, serving Chambers County and the Greater Valley area with all its banking needs. FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Chambers Academy Sports Live would like to thank Taffany Nelson Photographs for all her hard work capturing our memories from senior portraits, sporting events, pageants, prom, and family portraits. Reach out to Taffany at TaffanyNelson.com. Folks, we are back here with our second segment of the night. We have Coach Dylan Nesmith here. Coach, it's really good to talk to you tonight. Thank you, of course, for being here. And we would like to get your input on the Abbeville game first and foremost. Looked like to me that your defense really came out and made some adjustments as that first quarter was going on. But let's just turn that over to you and tell us how the defensive adjustments or play went on in your mind.
Yeah, I don't know if we made too many adjustments, more as we just kind of settled in. We figured out how freaky that kid was at quarterback. You know, it's kind of hard to replicate that type of speed, you know, in practice. It was definitely a challenge and something that we kind of had to settle into early, just based off of what they were giving us and just how athletic and fast Abbeville was as a team.
Well, to me it was crazy because we watched film. Chet, you and I talked about watching film, but when we saw in the first drive where they drove really the length of the field, I was just a little bit taken aback by his scrambling ability and being able to throw the ball into a tight spot. But the quickness,
it was definitely a challenge, and then, like I said, it was extremely hard to replicate that type of speed in practice. And what they were doing was not conventional at all. You know, from a passing standpoint, they kind of, you know, when things break down, everybody just kind of.
It kind of looked like Sandlot football.
It was, man, you know? and that's pretty frustrating for a defensive coach. You know, when we got guys trying to play their responsibilities and their assignments. And it's kind of a free-for-all.
Well, we talked about a couple of plays, Coach, and they threw a pass kind of in what I would call the flats, off the hash, and they were throwing it in front of us. You know, they were throwing that in front. And in my mind, it's like, I understand we don't want that to be completed, but I'd much rather that get completed than we come up way too fast and lose kind of our positioning and have the guy 2 steps behind us. Because that's 6 with their speed.
Yeah, well, you know, our whole goal going into the game was to keep them from having explosive plays, you know, plays over 15, 20 yards. And I thought we did a pretty good job of that. But, you know, we weren't able to get off the field on third down. So they had some huge third down conversions early. The quarterback just made some great throws and was able to buy himself time.
Yeah.
And, you know, we weren't really coming after them as, you know, with pressure because we felt like that would cause us problems in the secondary. Sure. And so we tried to get after them with our guys up front. That was the plan. And he just bought himself time, and it was about it. There was no really coaching points to be made. We just kind of had to stay at home and, you know, can just continue on with our assignments.
Yeah, because he would continue to run left and right in the pocket and move around, and your guys, you know, held coverage for a couple seconds, but then after 15 seconds, it's kind of hard to keep.
It's extremely difficult to cover.
And it was just amazing how much time he bought himself back there. It was great athlete.
Yeah, he was a great athlete.
It was fun to watch, you know.
Yeah, for you, man. No, he was a great athlete, but was kind of underrated was how strong of an arm he had. Yeah. You know, me and Coach Allen were watching him during the pregame, and, you know, he was in about 5 yards deep in the end zone, throwing it to the 50-yard line like it was nothing. And I looked at him, and he looked at me and was like, yeah, he's the real deal.
Well,
he's the real deal.
The other thing that I thought was interesting about his throws, he looked like he could zip the ball, but he also had great touch. There were a couple passes, he just had that mental touch connection with those receivers. And, Coach, did any of the the formations looked a little bit odd to us because they had several times they had 5 guys out, split out. I think one time they had 4 on one side and 1 on the press box side.
Yeah.
Did you guys? I mean, you guys had anticipated that?
No, that's not something. That's not anything that they've done prior to that. So that kind of caught us for a loop. But it's a great learning point for us because we anticipate teams maybe trying to replicate that. So we worked on that during practice, and so that's something that we were prepared for going forward. So that was something that usually you get a wrench in a plan. Teams going to try to do something a little bit differently than they have been all year, especially in big games. And so you can't prepare for everything. But what we try to do is prepare for what has gotten them good, what has been successful for them in games prior, and we try to take that away. And if we can take that away.
Well, the other thing that to me, I thought our defensive line and our interior linebackers, because our outside guys were running around with receivers. There's so many out there. But the thing that also encouraged me an awful lot in that first half was those guys were very disciplined. That quarterback is all over the place, and then they tried to pop something up the middle, and it didn't pop. No. I mean, I don't think they had maybe 2 or 3 plays that were really a decent ground game. Maybe there was one play that ran about 12, 14. But the rest of the time, it was just a standard. That line just stops the run.
Yeah, which that's first and foremost. That's the goal. If we feel like if we could stop the run and we have a chance, we'll have a chance. If we get them one-dimensional like we did, like we have been able to do to everyone so far this year, we've gotten them one-dimensional, and we make you beat us throwing the football. Sure. If you can beat us throwing the football, and we know you're going to throw the football, it makes it easier for a defensive guy when you know they're going to throw the football. It's just so much easier.
So we have talked about Abbeville and a lot of things learned from what areas to work on and stuff. As we get into the first round of the playoffs, hey, it's everybody's 0-0 now, right. So winner takes all. How's the preparation this week been for a team, and how do you get your guys up to play a team that you beat in the 7th week 47-0?
No, it's tough when it's a 17, 18-year-old.
Yeah.
When you beat somebody. When you beat somebody that bad, it's hard to get the guys up. But we have such a mature team. I feel really confident, and the guys are going to come out and with their hair on fire and ready to play. We're excited for the matchup. We're excited for this matchup.
Well, it's like, to me, that answer, as we talk about a lot, there's so much maturity on this team, and you're a senior-laden group. They just do not have those lapses, Coach. They understand what they have to do. And when things aren't exactly right, they just bear down. It seems like this group just has a very workmanlike approach to everything that goes on in the game.
Yeah, we don't panic. The guys don't panic. Like, you never see any panic in their eyes, and that's comforting as a coach. You don't want to see the guys freaking out when things aren't going well. But we had a really good practice. We had a really good film session after the game. We came in on Friday after the game last week and had a really good film session. And we critiqued each other pretty hard, and we talked about things that we did wrong, and we talked about things that we did right. And we really just focused on trying to get better on our part. Not worried about what the other team's doing. Just try to get better on our part. And we feel like we can play with anybody in the state.
When you watched that game last week, Coach, and they had trouble with the snap almost every snap, the ball's over the head and dribbling back, or it kind of was a loop. Do you do anything different, or do you just say, hey, the ball may be on the ground? It's just
no. When that happens, especially last week, we were freaking out because it was almost like a kick return. That guy back there, instead of a regular kick return, some guy could throw the ball down the field.
Right, just pick it up and do something.
Yeah,
right?
So we try to, when that happens, when the ball is on the ground, sometimes chaos breaks loose and we lose our assignments and we don't realize the capabilities of that person. So we were really worried from that aspect of just kind of being a free-for-all. Okay. It was tough. It was very tough.
Well, it's we were talking earlier. I started doing this. This is my 4th year, and I think our record is 40-6 over the course of right now. And it's amazing to me that 40-6 was 2 losses to open the first season I came on board. So basically 40-4. It's an amazing run, and a lot of these guys were a part of that team as a 10th grade group.
Absolutely.
Coach. And it's just, I think there's just some real deep commitment here. There is some very deep understanding about what we are trying to do, and we've got to pay out this year.
Yeah.
And it starts tomorrow night. That's the first step in paying it out, and I would be shocked if our guys didn't come out really, really fired up.
Yeah, what's so great about this group of guys and the coaching staff and, our whole program is we remember more about those losses than we do the wins. And that's how you got something special.
Yeah.
When you're more, you're more concerned over the losses than you are excited over the wins.
Well, and it's one of the things that I admire about you guys on this staff and Coach Allen. It is a mindset of, it's almost like a lunch pail mentality. It's like, just let's go to work.
Yeah.
We don't talk about last year's championship or the year before's championship very often. We probably do the week after.
Yeah.
And then we just go back to work. And I think that it's just, that to me is how football should be played. And I think you guys understand that. And I think these young men are learning an awful lot through that kind of teaching.
Yeah, there's no greater version of football than high school football. You see what college football's turned into, it's just turned into NFL junior. And so this is the kids just play the game because they love the game,
right?
And there's something for that. There's something to be said for that. And our guys, most of our guys play both ways.
Yep.
It's just true Ironman football, and I wouldn't want to be a part of anything else.
When I was thinking about this earlier. Your defensive linemen, typically, the ball turns over. They don't come to the sideline.
No.
You don't get them on the bench
No.
and have a strategy session. Yep. They're on the field.
That's right.
When are you able to do that? At the kickoffs?
Yeah,
Or
it's
something
tough.
Like that?
It's tough. But it's not as tough this year. It has been tough in years prior, just because of usually when the guy messes up, boom, he knows why he messed up, because these guys have been doing it for so long, and these guys have been a part of our program. We can holler at them from the sideline, and they'll be like, "My bad,"
Yeah.
And so it's tough from a coaching standpoint. There are some guys who are able to come on the sideline who don't play both ways on the film with them and make adjustments, but it's tough. But like I said, when these guys have been doing this since they were in 7th grade, it makes it a lot easier, and it allows them to play a lot faster from that regard.
I got a question for you, and I was going to ask Coach Allen this too. As you get into the postseason, are there any superstitions that Coach Dillon has?
Yeah, I wear the same socks. It's not really
Okay.
postseason. I got the same sock. I'm going to wear the same socks
every week?
Every week.
You wash them?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Coach Jackson's quarter. I don't know if he carries it in regular season, but I know when the playoffs start, he's got his luckiest quarter on him. So I love that. I don't have any as calling games. I want to ask you one other thing about just a momentum kind of thing in a game like Abbeville. It was a good competitive first half, 22-14, and you come back out. You've talked, you come back out. As a coach, and you're standing there and you see your return guy go 82 yards.
Yeah, that was huge.
It has to impact your confidence, because now you're not a touchdown lead, you're 2-touchdown lead.
Yeah, that was very deflating. And we've been on the opposite end of that more times than I want to remember. And it was, it's so deflating for a team to give up a touchdown on special teams. And guys blocked great.
Oh, wow. No kidding.
And Jason called it all week. He said, we can return one on these guys. And we did, man. The guys blocked it up great, and that's where it starts. And it was able to spring them, and he got to dance around a little bit and get to the end zone.
Yeah, instead of 82 yards, I think he ran like 182.
Yeah.
But that's okay, too.
Man, yeah, that was huge. That was a huge play. And I really, you could see the air get sucked out of them from that play.
And then your defense comes right back on top of that and stops them.
Yep.
We're just like 3 and out. And now, to us, it was like those two series were big momentum and emotional changes, because shortly thereafter, they began to break down discipline-wise, and you could see they were really not happy internally, and I think that's how you break teams.
Yeah, especially a team as explosive as them. And, they came out the first drive and scored, and we were able to answer.
Right.
And so that was huge. We never fully gave them the momentum in the game, and that's in big games. Momentum is absolutely huge.
Sure.
Hey, real quick, I wanted to remind folks, if you do need to get those 30 for 30 tickets and you call down to Newman's, you can buy them over the phone, and they will send you a copy of the invoice, and you can call them at 334-864-7006. So just wanted to remind everybody that you don't actually have to go to Newman's. You can do it over the phone. So remember to get those tickets. We still got plenty of guns to give away.
Yeah, if you want to buy one for me, buy one for me. That'd be great. That'd be much appreciated.
All right, folks, we appreciate it, Coach Dillon.
Yes, sir.
We
Thank
come
you.
back, we'll
Thanks,
come
Coach.
talk to Coach Allen. Craving some Mexican? Don't think twice. Come visit us at Monte Alban 3 at 1310 Highway 77, Lafayette, Alabama, for the best Mexican food around. Cheese dip, quesadillas, tacos, sheriff specials, and the best salsa in Chambers County. Planning a party or something special? Call Roxana at 334-864-0502 to reserve the party room.
Farmers and Merchants Bank is your hometown bank in Lafayette. Established in 1934, Farmers and Merchants Bank continues to operate with the same integrity it did when the bank first opened its doors. Farmers and Merchants Bank, a proud supporter of Chambers County football. That's Farmers and Merchants Bank, your local community bank, serving Chambers County and the Greater Valley area with all its banking needs. FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back, folks, to our third segment here tonight. We are with Coach Jason Allen. And Coach, just if you don't mind, before we get started, a couple things Chester and I have been thinking about, and we wanted to pass along our congratulations. 10 regions in a row, which is incredible. I mean, just kind of mind-bending to us that this program has now won its 10th. We are playing for our third title in a row. We will, if we continue to win in these playoffs, could potentially win third in a row and our fifth overall as a program. Yeah. You've been here for all of them. And you just secured your 200th win. And we just want to say congratulations, man, because that's a huge milestone. And we thank you for all your effort. We know you. You're going to talk about staff. You're going to talk about players. We know that's who you are. But congratulations to you as well.
Thank you. I want to thank God for just letting me coach 200 football games, much less win 200.
Yeah.
Never would have thought I'd been able to coach this long, and just been really blessed. And we're at a great school with great support staff that make all this happen. And football is important at Chambers Academy, and you can tell.
Yeah, it was a interesting week last week. We want to get your thoughts on how the game went and how it started off and how they regrouped at halftime and came out and shut out Abbeville in the second half. So tell us what you thought about last week.
Yeah, I thought it was a great opportunity for our kids to play against a very much improved Abbeville team. It's hard to play against somebody that's 9-0 because they have so much confidence. The teams we had played at Abbeville in the past would give up easily. A team that's 9-0 is not going to give up, and they had a huge crowd down there, and it really got our kids were excited about the opportunity, to go into somebody else's house, game 10. They're playing to be undefeated, and they had not been undefeated since 1978.
Wow.
And the head coach of Abbeville Christian Academy then was Tom Garrett.
I'll be darned.
Wow.
Now you know.
That's
How about the rest of the
right
story.
That's some good information right
Absolutely. 1978, I spent an hour with Coach Garrett on the phone the other night, and he told me all about it.
there. That's awesome. Well, Coach, what you're talking about, we experience. I mean, when we went in the press box, there's a vibe. And just, the guys calling the game, we walked through the crowd.
They expected to win that game.
I'm telling you, when we were taking a break, we made our way past the concession stand, and I heard two guys talking, and they said, we are ready. We're ready for these guys. And, you hear that, and you're like, okay, they are going to be ready. And I applaud them for that. I'm glad that they are playing well. I'm glad that their program is doing well. And I'm glad they're 9-1 instead of 10-0.
Me too. Well, the kid they had at quarterback made those other kids believe.
Oh, yeah.
And they had some other good players. Number 7 was really good on defense, and he ran the ball well against everybody they played this year. They kind of just gave up on the run.
Yeah.
You know, they knew they couldn't run the football out against us, and they said, we're just going to throw the football all night. And Zero, you know, he comes out, and they put 2 touchdowns on the board. But I never got very anxious about it because I didn't feel like they could sustain that kind of production for an entire game because they couldn't run the ball at all.
Right.
And, you know, some of the plays they were making, we were still keeping the ball in front of us. And it's hard. I just want to give Coach Nesmith and the defensive staff and our defensive team all the credit in the world. It's hard not when a quarterback's back there not to just go and let's say we're going to sack him.
Sure.
Well, if we took that approach, that kid would still be running right now and would still be playing. You know, we kind of took the old bird hunting approach. We sent 4 dogs right there, and we tried to get him to come out of that covey like a quail.
Right.
And then we wanted 11 eyes on him so we could try to knock him down. Because if you run at that kid at full speed, we found that out a couple of times, you're just going to be grabbing air.
Well, he had speed and quickness to burn. And I found it interesting in talking to Coach Nesmith. To us, Coach, it looked like there was adjustments, and it was so interesting to hear him say, no, we really didn't make that many adjustments. We just did things a little bit better. Yeah. We tightened up some assignments. And it's like, what that says to me is that defense is really solid. That defense understands. There was no, okay, we've got to rework this strategy. It was like, we've got to play better. We've got to not miss things. We've got to just tighten up a little bit. Yeah. That's a different thing than making major adjustments.
That's right. The first touchdown, you know, we had them 3rd and long, and we had a rush lane integrity issue. We got in the long rush lane and let him lose contain to the right side, and then that gave him the vision to see the receiver in the end zone on the scramble drill. And then the second touchdown, we lined up wrong on the perimeter with our outside linebacker, and we got pinned by a receiver, and that's why he was able to score then. So we just talked to our kids, say, you know better. I mean, this is who we are. This is what we do. We can't make those errors and give credit to our kids. They didn't. And I tell you what, if I'm playing against our defense, and I've tried at times, and I'll talk to Coach Nesmith, I said, you be the offensive coordinator, or you be the defensive coordinator for the other team, and tell me how you're going to stop me. And I said, I'll be the offensive coordinator for the other team, and I'll tell you how I'm going to move the ball against us. We don't have any holes in what we do defensively. We're fundamentally sound. You know, teams have really had to take to the air to try to move to the ball against us this year. And I think we played pretty sound pass defense. We may give up a completion here and there, but it's usually in front of us where we can tackle it. Because we got 4 rules with our defensive backs. Don't get beat deep.
Well, we talked about that. And Chet made a really interesting point as we were just talking during the game. He's talking about how they flooded receivers. You know, there's a lot of guys out there, and it's like the perfect storm for the offense at Abbeville. That guy is so quick, he can actually get through. My buddy Spam Risk was giving me a call. He was able to buy that time, and you mentioned the Sandlot version. I mean, they had 5 guys out at a couple points, and they're just running around.
Yeah.
You're a defensive player. You don't know the count. You don't know the play. You got to play defense.
Yeah.
That's a disadvantage on every look at it, and I thought we did great. I thought we kept the ball in front of us, and we just made plays. I
did too. It gets a little frustrating at times when he scrambles around and hits a guy on the sideline, but you just got to relax and say, okay, they got to snap it again, and that's not going to continue to happen against us. And we did a good job of not panicking, and then we shut those guys out in the second half. They didn't score a point on us, so I thought that was huge.
Well, we talked with Coach about the coming out at the half, and Chet and I were chatting about momentum. You know, this is a team that really has played pretty well. We're up by a score, and I said the first series on offense for us, the first series on defense for us, is going to be the momentum-carrying part of this game. And then we'll look at the next 2 series exactly the same and see how it goes. We didn't get there. Kobe goes 82 yards, and it changed everything.
Yep. I tell you what, here's what I thought. I thought we played really well defensively. I thought special teams were huge, and I did not think we played very well offensively last Friday. Some of that's on me, some of that's on our kids. We struggled to block a few players, and I got on them pretty good about that this week because I didn't think we played well up front. Not well up front for us is still pretty good compared to the standard, but I thought we could have played much better. We missed some assignments. We missed some kids. But I tell you what we didn't do, Sid. We didn't turn the ball over. We didn't put the ball on the ground. And I had made a concerted effort before the game. I told Coach Nesmith and the staff, I said, we're not going to put the ball in the air very much at all tonight because they had number 0, as good as he was at quarterback. He's committed to Missouri to play defensive back, and I've watched him make plays on balls in the air all year that I'm like, you can't throw the ball near that kid.
We don't want that.
And then number 7 sitting back there at free safety was a very good athlete, and their other corner wasn't bad either. So I said, as long as we can keep moving the chains and we can run the football, we're going to stay very agricultural tonight, close to the ground.
Well, we did put 50 on them, I believe. It was an incredible night. And, Coach, we talked about this. We thought the play with Hunter down the goal line it's kind of a part of who this team is. And when I say that, I mean, you see your running backs. You see Peyton run over people. You see Eli run over people. You see our big guys knocking people on the ground. And your quarterback, the ball gets on the ground, and he just did not quit. He wanted it more than they wanted it.
Yep.
And that's
Hunter's
just
a big,
testament.
strong kid. He's 6'1", 190. And when he and I've told him we need him to be a tough runner for us. He is a very different skill set than Landon had, and just much bigger, but not near as quick. So we try to use him in a different run style. And I thought that was huge. I was frustrated. I was mad because we dropped the snap and we're going to give the ball to 21. We felt like we had a chance. But then for him to not give up, that said a lot about him and his growth and maturity as an athlete. And then number 57 for us, Jacob Bradley. I mean, he came in there and saw what was going on, and he gave him a little push, too, to help him in there.
Well, the big guys played, I thought, pretty well all night long. And it was like we were talking with Coach Nesmith. This group understands what to do. They kind of come out with that lunch pail mentality and just keep repeating those plays. They bring it every series, every game. They come to work.
Yep, no doubt. And, we got to continue to get better, though. We got to keep getting better. I think we're going to play better this Friday. We really worked hard. Coach Jackson came in Monday, Tuesday, and he worked the dog out of our offensive line. And they didn't like him a whole lot after those 2 days, but they appreciated him because they understood this is what we need. And our kids trust our coaching staff. When we tell them something, they believe it, and they don't complain or whine or pout. They say, okay, let's go. Let's get to work.
Senior laden team that you have, and you're preparing for the first round of the playoffs, is there anything that you have to do, or do the kids take over like in a week like this week? Because these guys have been here before. I mean, some of these guys were playing 4 years now in varsity. Is there anything that you guys have to do special to get them up?
Well, they could tell it from the level of excitement when you get to the playoffs, because it is truly nothing you did in the regular season matters anymore, and it's one game at a time or it's over. It's kind of like playing Pac-Man. When you get on that last life right there, you got to be real careful not to get hemmed up by those ghosts, because if you get killed that last life, the game's over.
He's going to take you out, man.
So when I used to be on my last life of Pac-Man, I'd get up there and get pretty serious,
All right. Is there anything that's coming into great analogy there?
That is actually right.
Against Fort Dale, is there anything Dylan was talking about earlier that teams come out with a different wrinkle or anything? Do you think these guys are going to have a different wrinkle than when we played them in Week 7?
I think so. I would.
Okay.
I would because first and foremost, that was the best game up until that point we played. We played darn near perfect the first half, and it was that team wasn't that bad. I thought they got after it. I thought they played hard. They tried to be physical. We just played really well and took some advantage of some things they were doing. So I'm expecting a different game plan from them for sure, and we got to be ready for it. And I just do not like playing people twice.
Yeah.
I do not like it at all.
Well, and we certainly want to urge the CA family to be there tomorrow night, be there early, be there and be loud and support these kids. At best case, it's 2 home games. We know 1 home game for sure, so let's be out there and support this team and get another win tomorrow night.
Absolutely. I'm excited about it, and just trying to enjoy this team because the run we've been on the last 3 years, we don't need to take that for granted because that doesn't always happen. And this bunch has been a huge part of that for 3 years, and we're trying to finish something now. We're trying to finish something that we started with these kids, and I've challenged this class, and they deserve the chance to win, to play for and win another state championship.
Well, Coach, it's like I hear people say, not monetarily, but the pay window is getting ready to open. I mean, we're at that point now where the pay window, the pay of the big goal, we see it now. We're in the playoffs. It's time to really bear down. And, hey, I would love for us to just be consistent, keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, we're not going to have a letdown because we're not going to let them have a letdown.
I wouldn't anticipate that.
Before we let you go, I got to ask you, any superstitions that you have going into playoff time or even regular season?
You don't want to open that conversation.
No socks.
There's all kinds of superstitions going on in my world during football season. Sometimes it's the same amount of steps on the sidewalk going into the field house. I mean, it's the same hat, it's the same belt, it's a lot of different stuff.
That sounds perfectly normal to me. I don't see anything wrong with any of that.
Yeah, the older I've gotten, the less I've gotten that way, but I just don't want to change routine for what our kids are used to and doing every week, and I just want to enjoy it, and I want our kids to play real well, and so I'm excited. I'm excited about the playoffs. It always gives me an extra gear and an extra.
You want to tell the family out there?
As always, it's great to play for the CNEA.
Folks, we'll be right back here to close this out. Craving some Mexican? Don't think twice. Come visit us at Monte Alban 3 at 1310 Highway 77, Lafayette, Alabama for the best Mexican food around. Cheese dip, quesadillas, tacos, sheriff specials, and the best salsa in Chambers County. Planning a party or something special? Call Roxana at 334-864-0502 to reserve the party room.
Farmers and Merchants Bank is your hometown bank in Lafayette. Established in 1934, Farmers and Merchants Bank continues to operate with the same integrity it did when the bank first opened its doors. Farmers and Merchants Bank, a proud supporter of Chambers County football. That's Farmers and Merchants Bank, your local community bank, serving Chambers County and the Greater Valley area with all its banking needs. FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
All right, folks, we're back here to wrap it up here from Monte Alban. It was great talking to Coach Dillon and Coach Jason here about some of the things that happened last week and looking forward into the playoffs.
Coaches brought their A game tonight, Chester. I'm telling you, if you miss tonight being here, you miss another one of the epic and really good coaches show.
That's right. So tomorrow, be out at Torbert Allen Field, 7 o'clock, as the Rebels take on the Eagles. And also, after the victory, plan to be here next Tuesday night.
Tuesday night
at 7 o'clock for another coaches show. Folks, we'll see you tomorrow at Torbert Allen Field. Have a good week.
Thanks, buddy.